Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, we're going to give you an update on how things are going, both with the growing of the plants, because remember last week it was that we got a fantastic order of perennials from Walter's Garden. So I want to give you an update on that because they are all potted up. And then we have made some good progress on the annex. Update on that. The potting machine has been moved into the annex. Going to do an update on that. And then one of the most exciting things that has happened this week is that we got our first shipment of Proven Winter Annuals from our friends in New Hampshire with Pleasant View Gardens. So I want to show you these sweet little babies that are going to get potted up hopefully today. So that way they can start growing and soon come into your garden. Here we are in production number 1, and this is where we have the perennials, right? So this whole section right here that you see, all of the white Proven Winter pots, this whole section all the way down is nothing but Baptisia. The Baptisia, remember, came to us as bare root plants. That's why you're like, well, Jenny, it's just a pot of soil. Actually, there's a lot of action happening down in there. You might see a little bit of sticks popping up. That is last year's growth where they had cut the plant, but these have massive, huge root systems that are getting nice and happy, waking up and starting to put on more roots in the pot. We're keeping this greenhouse right now is not heated. We have the heater, but we're keeping it cool because we don't want to just shock the plants, right? You want to gradually wake them up. So they are all in here. Baptisia, remember, are great perennials to add to your garden for early spring interest. So lots of fun there. You will notice that there is a section of black pots. These still are Baptisia, but they are not a Proven Winners plant. These are an introduction from Walter's Garden. So it's really easy to see like what is Proven Winners and what is not. Remember, when you are shopping your local garden center this spring, summer, fall, whatever, if you are looking for a Proven Winners, then they should be in a branded pot. All Proven Winners are to be in a branded pot, whether it is an annual, perennial, or shrub. I think like the limit's like a 7-gallon or more, then it's not in a Proven Winners pot. And then of course your hanging baskets will not be in a Proven Winners hanging basket because there is no such thing, but it will have a Proven Winners tag. So if they say it's a Proven Winners and it's not in a pot, just be careful. So you can clearly see how much of these beautiful perennials are from Proven Winners. But everything, yeah. So just to give you an idea, so folks who are coming to shop for us, we do have Baptisia that we grew last year, but this whole section from my foot all the way down is nothing but Baptisia. Multiple different varieties in here. As they begin to wake up and as we get closer to the season, we'll share all the different varieties, but some of my favorite. Fantastic plants. Then we have coming in more of like Amsonia and some yarrow. More Amsonia. These are all bare root. So you can see that they're just, like I said, all that action is happening down underneath. If you have a really strong root system, then you're going to have a really strong, happy plant up top. And that is why we love working with Walters, is because they grow gorgeous rootstock. It is fantastic. So all of these, the Amsonia, the Baptisia, are going to be great early spring bloomers. That Firefly Sunshine Achillea is an amazing plant that just keeps blooming all season long. Gorgeous bright yellow flowers. It is not invasive. Yarrow in the past can typically kind of be a bully in the garden. This is very well behaved. So nice and controlled. It will spread. Of course, your mound gets bigger, but it's not like sending out runners and going nuts in your garden. Cannot go wrong with alliums. Alliums are onions, right? So from Walter's Gardens, this is the lavender bubbles. Nice big wide leaves on them. Purple tops, pollinator attractor, big time. Now here we go into no more bare roots, right? Because you can actually see the foliage on them. We have got some pulmonaria. So my folks who have shade gardens, pulmonaria is a wonderful plant for you. For us, it can be an evergreen in the winter, but if we get when we got the Arctic blast, it really killed a lot of that foliage. I still have some green, but my nice, beautiful clumps really did have a lot of dieback. Don't worry about it. The plant is nice and hardy because I think this pulmonaria, let's see, it's hardy in zones 3 to 9. So even for us in a 7B, I'm not worried. We're never gonna have a winter that's so cold that it's gonna kill this plant. We've got the ajuga, we've got the Ming Treasure Iris. That's really gonna be fun. In fact, we were at a show yesterday. The landscape show is the Green and Growing show in Greensboro, North Carolina. And Walters Gardens was there. Our friend Kata was there. She had a Ming Treasure in I think it was like was that a 3-gallon? I don't know. It was a large pot. That sucker was huge. So this beautiful Ming's Treasure, really unique iris that is going to get nice and big. So if you need some big presence in your garden, this is it, with of course that gorgeous bloom on it. And it is hardy in zones 6B to 9. Really fun. Brand new on the market this year. And then the ajugas, the black scallop, these are perennials. They are evergreens for us. You can basically use this like as a ground cover or like a little small spiller like in a container. I love black scallop. It is just a great, easy perennial, evergreen. Slap it in the garden, really fun, especially if you have an area where you're kind of walking over. Not a massive high traffic area, but every once in a while is fine. This is a great one. And then of course, the Berry Treasure strawberries. This is the red. Then we have pink over here behind us. So there's pink, there's red, and there's also white. The only difference is your flower color. Your strawberries are still the same, still nice and beautiful red, still taste delicious, all the fun things. My shade people, we have got Jacob's Ladder. This is Heaven Sent, and this is, even though it's in a premium gallon right now, right? It's a nice big container, but look how tiny it is. No worries, by this spring, this plant will have filled out this entire pot. Gorgeous, almost like fern-like foliage with these really nice true blue blooms that come up. For us, it's definitely in the shade. If you're in a colder climate, you can put it in sun, but for us, it is a shade plant, and it is hardy in zones 3 to 7. We're right on the border, so that's why I say definitely put it in the shade if you are in that warmer zone. Hostas. So we only have one hosta right now that we've brought in. I mean, we have tons of hostas that we've had. This is just the first one that came in. Again, looks like a bare pot, right? You're like, there's nothing in there. Oh, yes, there is. This is Empress Wu, is a gorgeous, nice, big hosta. It is fantastic. It's going to take a couple of years for your hostas to develop. So especially if you have the heat and humidity that we do at night, then your hostas are a little bit slower. Just an hour and a half away from us is the Blue Ridge Mountains, and nice cool nights. I mean, it gets warm during the day and then it really cools down. They have huge hostas. It's not anything that they're doing different than us down, an hour and a half off the mountain, but they're nice and cool at night. We're still hot and sticky, so our hostas are a little bit slower and not quite as big as they are up in the mountains. So just kind of keep that in mind, that sometimes your climate will not sometimes, your climate will absolutely kind of dictate how certain plants grow. So let's come in here because I want to show you some of the updates. We got all of our sweet people working this morning, but the other day we all got the insulation put in. So that is nice. One step forward again, so it's nice and insulated. Next step, I believe, is starting to put up the wall panels. So that will be really fun. And then, of course, here is... You can't miss her, can you? She is as a couple of people have said, it's like the Ronald McDonald color theme here. But this is the potting machine. So I'm just going to give you like a basic overview. Later today, Jerry hopes to get it plugged in and get it running. This is not something where you just plug it in and turn it on and go. There's a lot of like calibration and settings that you have to go through for that initial one. But basically this is it. Okay, so this is the hopper, right? So you come in with like the Bobcat, and we have big, huge bags of soil that will cut and put in here. So this holds 4 yards of potting soil. So then you come on and move down here, move this cart out of the way. So you're going to have somebody standing right here, and their job is to feed the pots into the machine. So whether it is the 10 count trays, or if it's a 1 gallon, a 3 gallon, hanging basket, whatever, their job is to shuttle that in. This conveyor belt will be running. We get to adjust the speed, slow, medium, fast. And then right in here, this chute, this is where the soil is going to come out. So the soil drops down here. All of these little guys right here are adjustable. So that way, if it's a nice wide pot, then you can widen it. If it's narrow, you bring it in. So it really directs in the center of the container. These are the rails. They are adjustable. So that way you can have them. The soil drops down onto the pot, and then any soil that is extra drops down into another hopper, and there is an auger down there that recirculates it and puts it back into the big hopper. So then what's really fun is down there is the whirlybird, Jerry, or the whirligig. Was it the whirligig? And so those brushes will spin, and so it brushes off all the extra soil from the pots. So now we gotta go walk around this way. Then you will have folks over here. This is a little bit better view, I guess. So brushes it off, conveyor belt still moving. If you have a drill, so if we're doing like a 1 gallon, there'll be a drill here that will drill the hole. This is what we call a dibbler. And if you can see it, those things that look like candlesticks down there, that was designed for our 10 count Proven Winners tray. So as the tray comes in, this comes down, punches the hole, then goes back up. The plywood is not going to stay there. That is just for transportation to make sure everything stayed nice and safe. And then it just rolls on down to the machine. Rolls on down, and it will hit this conveyor belt. So this conveyor belt is adjustable. So we need to bring it up and get it nice and level with this guy. And then the trays just roll on down. We'll have folks standing here plugging the plants, putting the tags in, and then at the end, shuttling them, either putting them in the greenhouse or onto a wagon to move around somewhere else. So that's just like kind of the nuts and bolts of it. So now, fun thing, let's talk about the annuals that arrived. So we had our first shipment of Proven Winner annuals that came to us again from our folks at Pleasant View Gardens up in Loudon, New Hampshire. And this is going to be one of our smaller orders because it is that early crop. We just want to have things available for folks that maybe are just itching and just can't handle, they just can't wait and they need some color. So this was the delivery. We were really excited to find out that they were not being boxed up, but rather they were delivered on a truck straight from Pleasant View. So these sweet little babies were on a rack. We were able to pull them straight off of the truck because it makes it, with the plants, it's just so easy, right? There's no shock. They're very happy. Easy transportation for them. So they come to us like this. We can order them in different size trays. This is 82. So it says right there on the tray, this is an 82. That means there are 82 plants in here. The bigger the number, the smaller the plant. The smaller the number, the bigger the plant. So this is the new alyssum from last year. It was new last year, I believe it was. This is Violet Night, and you can see it already has some little sweet purple flowers on it, a beautiful shade of purple. And this is going to be a really nice, you can use it as like a low ground cover. You could use it in your container as a spiller. And all these plants that I'm talking about are annuals. So there are no really true growing zones. So it doesn't really matter if you're going to be in a 7B, if you're in a 5, if you're in a 3, if you're in a 10. You can still grow these, but your calendar may look different, right? So just know that these are all annuals. Annuals means that they last for one growing season. A hard freeze is going to kill them. But to give you an idea of what they look like look how small they are. These will all go into grande size containers, and they will be nice and full and thick when it is time to be sold. So we've got some really great ones. These are some Osteospermum. This is the Bright Lights Purple. This was glorious last year. Now, right now, nothing, right? It is just foliage. But the osteos are going to be one of your earliest bloomers. We have double moon glow in here somewhere. They all look the same right now. Really nice, sweet, soft yellow flower. It always sells out super fast. But these are one of the earliest bloomers, nice and cool tolerant. So for us, right, our last frost date is April the 15th. These you could put out in March. You could put it out in early April. And even if we had cool nights and a light frost, they would still be okay. But nice, beautiful daisy-like blooms on them. And then of course, we had to get lots of petunias and calibrachoas. We have, these are gorgeous plants, by the way. Like as a grower, this is what we love. So look at that. Really nice, well-rooted. Those roots go all the way down. The soil's not falling apart. The plant's not falling apart. And look at all that great green foliage. Really nice, gorgeous plants. This is high quality growing. This is, Mini Vista Hot Pink. So if you've never grown mini vistas are wonderful because they have a really nice vigor, massive flowers on them, but they're not as aggressive as the Vista series. Had somebody was commenting and she said, I don't remember what Vista it was bubblegum or something. And she said, that thing got to be like 3 feet by 3 feet. I had it in the landscape and it was overtaking everything. I think I want to try mini vistas next year. And I said, that's perfect. So mini vistas are wonderful if you want all that flower power and that trailing habit, but they need to stay a little bit more controlled. Maybe it's right beside your sidewalk, or maybe it's in a container with some other plants that need to be more well behaved. So the mini vistas are wonderful for that. We have, of course, if you were watching that video we did with the new introductions for this year, we're tiptoeing here, folks. We got in for that first round here. This is the Mini Vista. Isn't this Mini Vista Midnight? No, see, this is Royal Velvet. Royal Velvet and the Midnight are very similar in color. Midnight's a little bit darker, but you can see that this is Royal Velvet. Beautiful. This is, still a Supertunia. So it's not a Mini Vista. Beautiful purple color, and you can see that those blooms have closed up. It's a little cool in here. It's in here somewhere. I thought this was it. I was wrong. I do digress. And then, of course, coming on down here, Plum Dandy. We've got a lot of good accent plants. So Plum Dandy, we found when we were touring the gardens at Pleasant View and at 4-Star for the first time. Plum Dandy is a beautiful plant. It will not flower. It is just an accent. It's actually a little bit more green right now just because it's been in greenhouses. Once it gets exposed to the outside UV light, it turns a really deep purple, almost a black. Gorgeous. So it contrasts really well with other plants. It does fantastic in the landscape. Used it lots of places in the landscape and also containers. So if you're looking for that contrast where it gets a little bit of height to it, maybe I want to say like 12 inches. I don't have the specs in front of me. About 12 inches tall. So not nearly as tall as a coleus. Wonderful plant. Lamian is really fun. And Lamian is actually a perennial for us in zone 7B. Lamian this is the pink Chablis, beautiful soft pink flowers on it, and great ground cover or a trailer in a container. So if you need something low, this is a wonderful one. It will do sun or shade. How fantastic is that? Very versatile, but again, really nice root system on that. Look, it's not falling apart at all. It is a little dry, needs a little water. We haven't watered this morning. We will do that once we get done. But that is really fun. And then we do have a bloom on this one. This is the Super Bells Honeyberry. And we've never grown honeyberry before, have we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I think it's going to be really popular. Look at that sweet bloom on it. Really fun with that pink outer and then that little light yellow throat. Super Bells are calibrachoas, and calibrachoas do really well in well-draining soil. So for us, and the vast majority of people, the landscape is too wet. So these do great in containers, whether it's a hanging basket, a window box, a whatever, right? Typically in the ground, don't do so good unless you have extremely well draining soil, like my friends who have just like sand as their soil. But that honeyberry, oh, she's a cutie, absolutely for sure. And then there's another one that has a little bloom on it. I know everybody is like starving for flowers, so if there's a bloom on it, then I'm gonna show it to you. This is Super Bell's Black Currant Punch. We have one sweet little bloom right there. Nice, kind of a magenta on the outside, and then a really deep dark throat on it. This is a gorgeous plant, absolutely beautiful. Pairs really well with yellow, something bright that these dark blooms can pop off of. Really super nice, but I mean, I'm telling you.
And they can take the temperatures.
They can. So both petunias and Calibrachoa is even, I think, a little bit more, can take the cooler temperatures. But really, look at that root system. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? That is a beautiful sight to a grower's eyes. Calibrachoas do great, but they, like Jerry was saying, they really can handle the cool temperatures. We will grow them and have them outside. Light frost, not a problem. So even like low 30s, like what, 30, they can go to 30?
Well, they can take the 20s.
They
will not kill them. Sometimes it'll take the flower back, but...
Yeah. So Jerry was sounding, he doesn't have a mic on. So low 30s, even into the upper 20s, it will not kill the plant. You may lose some flowers, but it's not like if we get a late freeze and you forget to cover your Calibrachoas, you're going to be okay, right? So that is what we love about the Calibrachoas and the petunias. Nice and cool tolerant and can do really nicely. Now, I'm going to have Jerry come over this way for me because, like I mentioned before, we did do just earlier this week the new introduction of annuals that are going to be on the market this year, the 2023 annuals. We have a great relationship with Proven Winners, and so they send us like the coming year's new introductions. So that way we get to grow them. As a grower, we receive them just like these little guys as little liners. And so we get to have them, we get to grow them, and then we get to put them in our gardens and trial them for the first year. That way, just like I did in the video earlier in the week, I can say, I put it here, it did great. Or I did this, not so much, I learned from this, don't do this, do this, right? So I'm gonna have Jerry spin around because behind me, we have the new introductions. I'm making him go far away because I haven't been told that I can like show them yet. So I'm just going to tease you. But back here, not going and zooming in, back there are the 2024 new annuals from Proven Winners. So when I get the go ahead, I of course will show you those beautiful plants. I will tell you all about them. We will have lots of fun learning about them, growing them. Of course, we'll keep you updated throughout the growing season on how they're doing. But just know that Proven Winners is working very hard to bring you fantastic plants. I believe, I could be off on this a little bit, but the average life, like the average time period for a plant to become a Proven Winners plant, once Proven Winners is aware of this plant and they're like, sure, we'll take a look at it. It takes like 10 years for it to actually be introduced to us and put onto the market because they want to trial it, they want to test it, they want to put it through the paces. Can it handle it? Is there a better plant than this? All those fun things. So whether it's an annual, a perennial, or a shrub, they go through extensive amounts of trialing and testing. It's not that they're like, oh, I found this plant, it's great, and then the next year it's on the market. Not at all. That's what makes Proven Winners different than a lot of the other plants out there, is that they have proven to be winners in our garden. So just know that some fun things are coming down the pike, and we will keep you updated on that. The fellas are working in there. You can probably hear the saw going. Lots of fun things happening today. We are going to go ahead and start potting these up old school today because we've got to get the machine calibrated and up and running. Hopefully that will all go very smoothly. Of course, we will bring you all the fun updates, but we're going to get these babies potted up, move them down to the retail garden center, so that way they will start growing and be happy and ready to see you on February the 18th. Doesn't mean they're going to be ready to be sold on February the 18th. You can just go look at them. And so once they grow out, we've had a lot of people ask, like, when is a good time to start shopping? It really depends on what you're shopping for. So if you're shopping for perennials and shrubs, now's a great time, right? You can go shopping and get those like things and go ahead and grab them. Our best selection for our annuals is really going to start in like late March. April is fantastic. May is fantastic. Lots and lots of beautiful plants. We'll have, of course, succession plantings, so we'll have lots of things available for you. Of course, you just have to kind of keep an eye on the weather. If we're going to have, you know, a late freeze, you want to protect especially your hot weather plants, your coleus, your basil, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so think late March, April, and May for your annuals. Perennials and shrubs, really now all the way through. You've got plenty of time. So we're opening on February the 18th. That is a Saturday. We will be open from 9 to 3. As the season progresses, of course, we add more days. In February, there's not much of a need to be open, you know, for long amounts of time on because there's not, you know, people aren't have the itch. You have the itch, but you're not quite ready to get all those annuals yet. So we look forward to seeing you on February the 18th. As always, thanks so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.